All right, everybody, welcome to the show. On the line, I have George Scotinas and Ward Workington. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah,
Hi, Bruce.
Hey, so we are going to talk all things trucking, and George is our Greek god, and Ward is just, well, Ward. So Ward, we're going to start with you. Tell us about Fleetmetrica. What does that do? What is it? Tell us about kind of that thing.
Fleetmetrica is a data analytics company for the trucking industry, and we basically automate a lot of the management processes, or the intent is to automate management processes for safety managers and other managers in trucking companies, and so we like to think we make life easier for folks like George in managing safety.
Okay, and how did you get into that? Like, what's your background? Did you have a background in technology or trucking, or how'd you get?
Well, actually, I'm a statistician. I'm also an engineer, so I'm bringing knowledge of data analysis and analyzing processes. But I actually started in trucking. Started consulting in trucking back in 1998. So this coming year would make it my 30 years in the trucking industry. So I understand the trucking industry, and I started helping implement management systems for quality and safety. And for the last 10 years, I've been now automating those processes. I've been helping companies implement with tools to simplify managing safety in other areas.
Okay. Well, listen, as a statistician and an engineer, I'm going to ask you to keep the words to smaller ones, George, and I can probably understand.
Yeah. No worries there.
George and I are from the trucking industry. George, you're the safety manager and compliance manager for, is it Premier Systems? Is that what you guys are?
Well, it's Premier Express Lines, which is the transportation part of the division for our company. But we are a Premier Group, and we have a few companies, and we specialize in poultry. So
you're true chicken haulers. That's what I like to hear. True chicken haulers.
Pretty much. True to the bone.
So how long have you been in trucking there, George? What's your background?
I have been in the industry for the past 35 years, and I have, of course, been involved in all different types of levels within the industry itself, and from driver to dispatcher. And then I was fortunate enough to own my own company for about 8 years, and which I sold in 2004. And that's when I commenced in taking on the actual huge role as a safety and compliance manager. Right. And in 2007, I attained my fleet driver training certification from Transportation Health and Safety Association of Ontario, which was called at that time, which is now IHSA. Right. And so I received my certification as a fleet driver trainer with signing authority. Meanwhile, I was at the time also the safety management role at Bruce R. Smith. Unfortunately, of course, the company was dissolved back in 2009 when it went into receivership. So since then, for the past 8 years, I am the safety and compliance manager for the Premier Express Lines and the Premier Group of companies. To give you a little bit of...
You've done it all. You've done it all, it sounds
like. Yeah. So, like the Premier Group of companies, it consists of companies that are strictly specializing in the poultry industry. So, like to give you an example, we have Premier Catching, a group of 40 employees. Their responsibility is to safely and humanely remove the live poultry from the farms, designated farms, which get it loaded to our transport trucks. And then at that point, we take it to the different plants. And last but not least, we're in development stages right now of our new processing plant in Abington, Ontario, Caister Center area. It's going to be Premier Kosher, so which will strictly be producing kosher poultry products. And when it's finished, it will employ over 100 people.
Wow, wow. So you've got a lot of work ahead of you. I can tell.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And actually, I'm still learning.
yeah. Well, yeah, and we all are. We learn every day. Now, the reason we had the two of you on is because you're using Fleetmetrica's system, and
Yes, yes.
the data, we're going into the ELD world. For those of you who are running to the US, by the end of this year we have to have got the ELD mandate, and so a lot. Fleetmetrica is the data that comes out of these ELDs systems once you're getting them. So we thought it'd be good to have you on. You're a customer of Ward's, and you guys. We thought it's a good way to finally figure out what happens with this, because a lot of people get this data and don't know what to do with it. So how long have you guys been running electronic logging devices, George? You guys have those for a while, or?
Yeah, we started back in 2011 with electronic logbooks, and we've been with the electronic based products since then. And 3 years ago, we came across Fleetmetrica, and it's the easiest thing in the world for me as a safety and compliance manager, because as you know, there's not enough hours in the day to do the things you need to do. But yeah, we've had we actually integrated our existing system with Fleetmetrica.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah,
it has been great.
Good.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe. That's a great way to describe our service, Bruce. Is we're an enhancement to existing services that ELD suppliers offer. There's basic services that they receive as part of their devices, and we're doing more with the information to help folks like George benefit more from it.
Right. So tell us, Ward, what kind of data comes out of these systems? I mean, I've seen a presentation with you, and there's lots of data. Some of it would pertain to certain people, and maybe there's more. Mm-hmm. Tell us what kind of data comes out of these systems.
It depends on what each company is pulling from the system and what they subscribe to. Our system is only displaying data and information that they're paying for through their device supplier. In the case of Premier Express, they're looking primarily at safety-related data, hard braking, overspeeding, accelerating aggressively, that type of information, as well as speeding over posted speed limits. George, let me know if there's other data that you want to highlight beyond those types of things.
Well, also with your system, Ward, we also are making sure that we save on fuel. Simply, it's very simple, because when the drivers slow down and they the drivers slow down and they keep the speed limits, your brakes are not worn out. Your equipment itself in general are not going to be abused, and it's a safety issue throughout the whole entire industry while they're out there, right? So Fleetmetrica for me personally, has been an essential part for pinpointing the individuals that have those rough driving habits, right?